In previous videos, we discussed the basics of market structure and we learned to separate the impulses and the pullbacks. And what we said is that if we are able to separate the impulse, then we can say that this is some kind of external structure. Everything that is happening inside will not give us a new break of structure. So we can use this rule to have a more stable, more conservative market structure and really understand what is happening and not change our bias every time we see some kind of a break. And we also said that when you have a break of structure, a new impulse, overall you can expect a continuation. In this video I want to add that of course you need to combine this all with multi-time frame analysis, with supply and demand zones, with price action on lower time frames, with overall market context. So you can just see some kind of a break and then just expect it will hold no matter what. Of course you need to combine it with everything else, and it still can break to the other side because there are bearish and bullish forces that are acting on the market anytime. In this video we will continue to look at market structure and discuss Confluence. To quickly recap how we can mark up the structure, you can use this rule that when you have a chart, first of all, when you want to mark up the chart, you need to zoom out a bit and go from left to right always. So why you need to zoom out? Because even though this break looks like a break, if we zoom out, we can see that this break is inside this bigger move. Of course, for those of you who are paying attention, they can see that actually in this instance, this break is a real break because of this. So we had these breaks and then this break. But if we imagine that this is a one impulse, then we can find ourselves in this situation when we are following inside structure instead of outside structure. So remember, always zoom out and then go from left to right. Now you can look at this chart and try to mark up yourself, maybe post video and just try to understand what range we are currently in during this time that I'm showing it right now. And now I will do it. So usually when you zoom out like this, it's enough to really read the real structure. So what we had here is like this break that came from here. Then we had this high, this low, this new range, then this big move, which eventually got a break here with this low, and it came from here. And again, if you are confused about what I'm doing now, I'm actually doing a markup circle that was discussed in the first video. You can rewatch if needed. So we had this huge range with a big amount of inside structure, you see. So these breaks are not real breaks, they are just inside structure of this bigger move. Then we had this break, and we had one more bullish break, a pullback here with this candle, bullish move, impulse and impulse. So right now we are in this range that didn't perform a pullback yet, and we can continue to observe how it develops. So this is still the recap of the first video. At this point, as you can see, we have a pullback, so we can say that this is the low, this is the high, this is the impulse, and until these points become broken, we can say that everything is inside structure and we have no new breaks. And of course, overall, we can expect continuations. Again, at this point of time, we can say it just because we know that after breaks, we can expect continuations, but overall, later we will need to combine it with multi-time frame analysis and all the things I mentioned in the beginning. And now we have one more break, and let's observe this one. So this is actually the topic of today's video, and the topic is Confluence. Of course, we all understand that the market is not operating on one time frame. Actually, any moment of time, you can have different ranges presented on different time frames. And right now we are looking at daily time frame. But what do you think is happening during this time on lower time frames like 1 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, and so on? So let's schematically show this. We have a break, have an impulse, pullback, break, and a pullback. So on a daily it looks like this: a move, a break, so this break is this one, then a pullback, this one, a new move, and a break here. And then the market started this. So let's look inside of this price action on lower time frames. And on lower time frames, it will most likely look like this. Okay, so it will look this part like this. So maybe like this, and then something more to the bullish side. So you see, we know that we are in a bearish impulse on a daily, but we have bullish price action on maybe 1 hour or 15 minutes. So using this idea and the idea that you are expecting continuations from the impulses, you can start to wait until lower time frame structure will align with the higher time frame structure. And in this video, we will try to find places where we have confluence of at least 2 time frames, so maybe daily and 1 hour. So what we will do now is clean up the chart a bit, and we understand that until these points are holding, we are bearish on daily. But let's go on 1 hour. So as you can see, this huge leg is daily impulse we saw, like 3 or 4 consecutive candles. So let me check once again. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 candles on daily. They look like this on 1 hour. And then structure started to shift. So we have this pullback, this small pullback, and impulse. And now we are shifting bullish on 1 hour. And remember that structure is connected but independent at the same time. So even though we are expecting bearishness from daily, if we have this kind of price action on 1 hour, we can expect bullishness from this price action. Why? Because we are producing bullish impulses, and we can expect the structure to hold. And now, if we want to have a better entries, better understanding, and better analysis for our predictions, we can wait until the structure will shift to the bearish side at least once. We will discuss later about how can we optimize it even more, but right now let's wait and see what the price will do. So you see, price continued to be bullish. We had this break, then one more, and now if we want to be more confident in the bearish side, we need to see this break. So nothing broke, it's still bullish. It's bullish from here. And at last we have these bearish shifts. And this is the first bearish shift. Again, I don't know if it will work out right now. It can do like a distribution that we will discuss later, but overall, we now at this point of time, we have this bearish 1 hour range or impulse is the same thing, and then we are bearish on daily. So this is the first time where we have this confluence. And from what I remember, we will break to the bullish side again. Yeah. And we broke to the bullish side, started this distribution, and let's wait for more bearish shifts. Yeah, we had this big impulse with this shift of structure here, and now during this point of time we are situated in this 1 hour impulse that is situated inside of the same bearish daily impulse that we discussed before. You see, so we have this bearish impulse and this bearish impulse on 1 hour. And now you can play with this idea and do even 3 confluences, like 4 confluences. And when you have a market that is, for example, bearish here on daily, then made some kind of pullback, started the move. So now you're looking inside here. You had bullish into bearish, and then maybe a pullback starts on 1 hour. So this is like daily, this is 1 hour, and then maybe 5 minutes, you know, because this on 5 minutes will be presented like a bullish structure. And again, remember, structure is independent but connected at the same time. So it influences the ranges, they influence one another, and when they become aligned, we can already expect more probability to one side or the other side, depending on the direction. So let's see how this range will develop. You see, we have 1 hour impulse, and hopefully I will be able to switch to 5 minutes, maybe to 15. Yeah, but on 15 minutes, we are bullish. So though we are bearish from 1 hour, bearish from daily, as we remember, we are bullish on 15 minutes. And now if we want to have a third level of confluence, we need to wait. So we just read the structure similarly like we did before. So we zoom out a bit and then go from left to right, and we will arrive to this point that we have this bearish impulse that started to shift bullish, and now we are bullish from here. So there is no pullback here, so technically this is our low that we want to break, and let's wait for it. Yeah, you see, at this time we have 15-minute bearish shift, and now we are bearish on 1 hour, 15-minute, and daily. So now we have 3 levels of confluence. And now at this point, the market is like really bearish, and we can use it for analyzing and prediction. And in combination with supply and demand zones and multi-time frame analysis, it can become a good instrument for analysis. So what I would suggest you to do is play with these different time frames. Just go into backtest mode on your chart and try to find places where the market is in confluence, at least with 2 time frames. Time frames should be distant from one to another relatively. So for example, it does not make sense to find a daily and a confluence for daily like 12 hours, because the moves will be almost the same. But it makes sense to find daily and 4 hours ranges, or maybe 1 hour. And then for 1 hour, it does not make sense to find a confluence with 45-minute ranges, but it makes sense to find 15 minutes confluences. It's flexible and it depends on how the market is delivering, but overall the rule is finding confluence with relatively distant time frames.